All right, so I actually want to talk about whether you should take courses in other departments as a graduate student. So, if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Mayoslak. I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor for to help you out. So, Michael writes, I'm wondering if I can speak to the value of adding a graduate certificate to someone's educational credentials as a means of providing opportunities to teach outside of their primary field. And so he's basically just asking whether you should take other, other courses in different departments and those kind of things. So I want to answer that. So I do have one rule, Michael. If this benefits you, you got to do something nice and leave some comments below. Or anybody else. If this video benefits you, go do some random nice thing to somebody, whether it's on the reciprocity project to help out, whether it is, go buy credits, whether it is going and talking to your grandma or whatever. Let us know. I think everybody wants to know. I think we need this. I think it's super important. So, strictly speaking, absolutely strictly speaking, it's a waste of your time and it does not matter. So, and some people actually, half the people are going to view it as a waste of time and they're going to say, don't do that. Because you should just focus on the thing that you're doing and there's really no benefit of that. However, I did take a lot of extra courses in economics. I've taken stuff in sociology. My undergrad was actually in chemical engineering and sociology of things. And then I did in my master's program, I took a bunch of extra econ courses, the same thing in my PhD program, sort of different levels. And, I want to point out that you do gain a lot from taking these extra courses. You really do. You gain a lot of sort of understanding how the world actually works. And I think where a lot of research happens is at the sort of intersection of different domains. And there's lots of people that do that kind of stuff. Now, there's lots of people that do mainstream stuff and focus on certain things, but then there's other people that sort of do these boundary spanning things. But the boundary spanning stuff is actually, it's more challenging because you're talking to multiple audiences and you haven't got a clue how to actually frame this thing to the right audience. And so that's the tricky thing that I've found. So taking research does help you understand the world. So if you're looking at just general, I want to understand the world, it is a beneficial thing. And, that's education is a waste in general. It is a very wasteful exercise, and you're really not going to benefit from most of the education that you get. It's just that's the nature of it, right? But what you're looking for is that one key insight that actually sort of changes things, right? It's the whole story behind Steve Jobs and calligraphy and having multiple fonts, right? So if you didn't know, Steve Jobs took a course in calligraphy, realized that it was really beautiful to have different fonts, and then implemented that in, I think it was the Macintosh, and nobody else had done that, and everybody was like, ooh, we've got these different fonts. And now it's like a super important part of word processing. In fact, people take it for granted. So, knowing this kind of stuff, I think you're going to benefit. And, a couple of sort of domains I think are pretty beneficial. Again, it's tricky because you sort of learn these things, but it's undervalued in your field typically. So, learning about research and research methods and statistics and stuff, those things are really beneficial, but it's going to be undervalued because your field is not going to recognize that. It's only going to recognize the sort of courses that you're being taught in that, like that's the reality of it, right? So, part of the question is that you wanted to teach in different departments. You're never going to teach in different departments. It's never going to happen. That's not how funding works in universities. In fact, there's lots of squabbling behind all of that kind of stuff. So don't expect it. Getting cross appointments and all that kind of stuff is only for super famous people, generally. and they just want to have that sort of affiliation with that super famous person. So like, don't worry about that. And that's like 30 years out, and you're really not going to gain a lot from that. Like, I would not at all. Think about it. And if they want you to teach that course, they're going to want you to teach that course and fill in that gap. But teaching is such an insignificant part of being a professor. I know that sounds really terrible, but it's absolutely true. It's a small part. It's supposed to be 30%, but in reality, it's much less than that of what faculty actually do that are in research places. So. Ultimately, so one thing I'm going to sort of point out is when I was taking those econ courses, for example, I felt like I was thinking a lot because I didn't quite understand it. I understand it a heck of a lot more now, but, even still, I would still feel like I'm thinking. Like, it was really rough. And the courses that I had nightmares about was the econometrics courses. I literally had nightmares like 5-10 years later. And I wake up with a cold sweat because I was like feeling like I was underperforming in my econometrics courses because they were really tough. But beneficial. I learned a lot. And does that mean that it wasn't scarring? No, it was scarring, but I learned a lot. The other thing you got to remember is who cares what other people think? You live your own life. And just proud of living that life. Do what you think is really important for you. And if you want to do that kind of stuff, go do it. It's the cost that you're bearing. It's not the cost what somebody else is bearing. And you just have to go and do that thing and do a good job of it. I think that's the important lesson. And the last thing I need to remind everybody, it's not like you haven't heard this enough, is the only thing that matters in academia is research. And like, at the end of the day, nobody else cares about it. Like, literally nobody cares about anything. It doesn't matter, what your performance, so your teaching ratings, as long as you're not a disaster, like failing everybody, does not matter what your teaching ratings are. I know it's like a hard pill for everybody to swallow, but it's absolutely 100% true. There's no institution that is going to care more about teaching than they're going to care about research. If you don't have that research sort of dial, you get to the point where you're like, okay, you check that off, and that's bloody hard to do. Really hard to do. That's the only thing they're going to care about. And that's the thing that's going to open up doors in other areas, is that research. And I know lots of people are going to be like, I don't want to hear that, and they're going to be upset with me, but it's the actual truth. It's the way the market works. It's not me. Don't get angry at me. Get angry at the market. I don't think the market is, I personally think it could change, but it's never going to happen in my lifetime. I can't see it happening. There's too much emphasis that's put on research. And so if if you get benefits from a course to help you out with research, by all means take it. There's lots of like great summer courses and stuff like that are very specific to a certain area, like entrepreneurship boot camp. I think that was going on for a long time. There's one on like sustainability. These are ones that I just know in the field that will benefit you. But there's no like most of it is it's more of getting you to sort of think broadly. And the other thing to realize is there's no linear way. Like, you're thinking that if I take this and I get that and that, there's no linear way. There really isn't. It's just you kind of like go through all of this and you find the thing that works for you. And if you're curious about something, go do it. Satisfy that curiosity, and then come back and just keep plugging away. That's it. There's no magic. All right, Michael, thanks so much for reaching out. I do appreciate it. Take care, and have a wonderful day. All right, remember, go do something nice. Oh, give me one of these. If that's the only nice thing that you can do, give me one of those. Or give me one of those, too. I could not care less. All right, take care. Bye.